I'm Isabella Colello with the latest North Country news. Now, to protect your own and your passengers' safety this spring when dealing with the cold water and floating debris, the Coast Guard recommends wearing a life jacket. By combining branches of the Army such as aviation and infantry, soldiers participating in this training are able to prepare for any deployments they may see in the near future. New York State has sandbags at the ready as water levels on the St. Lawrence River and Lake Ontario are already above average.
You couldn't ask for anyone better, I think, than a military spouse.
The First Lady said she will take all issues she heard today back to the White House with hopes to make improvements to military spousal employment rates as well as child care options. But people who have purchased pets from the pet zone, such as Ollie's parents, say payouts and reimbursements are not enough. So when did the spike in air quality pollutants really start?
So 2 days back, that would be June 5th, you can see that the concentrations have started spiking.
A newly filed lawsuit is accusing a mega dairy farm in the North Country of polluting the St. Lawrence River. A state of emergency has been declared in St. Lawrence County as the nation's Title 42 order has come to an end. Now, the best way to prevent the spread of these viruses is taking steps we are all familiar with, such as washing your hands. And the big one, staying home if sick. By talking with soldiers and interacting with equipment, North Country high schoolers learned about the over 150 career opportunities the Army has to offer. These soldiers serve with the 10th Mountain Division Main Command Post-Operational Detachment. They were sent to Poland and Romania to support their active duty counterparts. I'm standing on top of a waterfall in Jefferson County waiting for students to release trout they've been raising all school year, helping make Carthage Central School District happier one paw at a time. Surely making this a holiday the North Country will never forget. Reporting live from Watertown, I'm Isabella Colello. A helicopter landing with a very excited audience. Kicking off an end-of-the-year celebration at Governor Elementary School, the 10th Mountain Division's Combat Aviation Brigade brought a medevac helicopter, leaving students in awe.
I think it's really cool because they've never done a helicopter for a fun day before.
I've never seen one up close, and I didn't know it'd be like that big.
I just thought that was so cool.
Now, this helicopter visit was very exciting for all the students, but it was also very important to one of the pilots whose daughter goes to kindergarten here at Governor Elementary.
She kind of had an idea that a military vehicle of some sort was coming, so once she gets over here, she'll be pretty excited to see it.
And excited she was to share what her dad does every day with her school friends. All Governor classes were able to talk with both pilots, the crew, and climb in the aircraft.
I think it's good for the kids to see other different heroes in the community. You know, we bring in our EMS workers and our police officers and our firemen. And also, with Fort Drum being so close, I think it's a great idea to bring them in. Also show the kids that there is another job that they can do as well.
Getting a sneak peek of what being a pilot is all about.
I'm sure they see them flying over. They know Fort Drum is here, and it is, you know, it's important for them to get a chance to experience it firsthand. Let them touch the aircraft, let them play on it a bit. Hopefully, they'll gain an interest in either aviation or the Army itself, and possibly a future career.
Surely a day the kids and soldiers will never forget. Reporting from Governor, I'm Isabella Colello. Stepping out from behind the camera, United States Army Captain Veronica Bean commands over a dozen public affairs officers stationed with the 10th Mountain Division at Fort Drum.
We're here, and I just cleaned my sensor.
Captain Bean graduated from West Point, served in South Korea and Hawaii, and trained at the Defense Information School in Maryland. But her public affairs leadership actually started at Fort Drum.
My first public affairs assignment, one of my favorite assignments in the Army, was with the 10th Mountains Combat Aviation Brigade right here on Fort Drum. We got to do a lot of cool missions working with the people who live in the Adirondacks, working with people in the local area down in Rome, New York, to really build the community.
As a public affairs officer, her job is to share the Army's story.
So is your plan to do like a stand-up and then point and say? Well, I get to manage a team of journalists and photojournalists, and right now we support everything from Dr. Biden's visit to Fort Drum recently, to the soldiers and officers who are going down to some of the training centers to prepare. So we really get to have our hands across a lot of different efforts in the Army and tell the Army story to the American people.
Bean has held a passion for storytelling her whole career, but as a fourth-generation Army officer, as well as Army spouse, her drive to serve is more a family value.
I think it runs deep in my family. My great-grandfather on my mother's side served as an adjutant general officer, again, that human resources piece, which is one of the reasons I originally joined that branch. And then both my grandfathers served. My grandfather is a World War II veteran, also served in Vietnam, and then my dad had a long career, so it's really the family business.
With these legacies in mind, she and her team work together to share stories of diversity and inclusion.
As you know, we have soldiers from all over the world, not just the 50 states. It's quite common for people to only really know the Army through a TV show or a movie and to have an idea of what a soldier looks like or talks like or how they behave. And so I think it's really important to show, like, hey, we're not a monolith. There's an incredible range of talent from age, location, background, race, gender, and here's what we bring to the table, because diversity is our strength.
But Bean says she can't do her job without recognizing how far the Army has come.
It's not lost on me that the Army that my grandfather, my great-grandfather first enlisted and then later commissioned in was a segregated Army, so very different experience, right? But I think it's important, too, to highlight when they joined the Army back then, it was the first time that they were able to get the same pay, the same career opportunities as the next person, regardless of their race, and the same for gender. And I think that's what makes the military service so special, is that it's always about what you can bring to the table.
Although she's soon transitioning out of the Army, Bean says she's proud to have been able to write her own portion of history.
It's so great to be able to look back on pictures and stories about their time serving and then to contribute to that so that the next generation can see the evolution of military service. And while things might be different, the trend line is always the same, that we're dedicated to service and working as a team.
And Bean will no doubt continue to hold her family value of service as she trailblazes ahead.
One thing I really enjoyed about my Army career is that you end up being friends with the type of people you would never expect. So it's something like outside of the uniform, completely random strangers are best friends in the Army. And so that's something I want to take with me, is really giving other people a chance and recognizing that everybody's experience brings something to the table, and if you lean into that and get to know people, your life is just going to be much more enjoyable and much more rich. So I hope to take that with me into my next adventure, wherever that might be.
Finding community in new places. For active duty soldiers, this is a familiar concept in northern New York. However, for military families of Hispanic cultures, moving to Jefferson County, where over 87% of its residents are white, can be a culture shock, an obstacle understood at the Indian River Central School District, which supports the most military families in the region.
With Fort Drum being here, it connects people from all over the world to our school district.
With an understanding that not all students and families speak English, the district offers resources through its English as a New Language or ENL program.
We provide English instruction beyond what the classroom teacher is giving them in small groups to help close the language gap for them.
With many cultures prevalent here in the area because of the military base, the program is finding ways to connect students with their culture in and out of the classroom.
We try to encourage them to keep their first language or their home language, so we'll encourage the families to keep speaking their native language at home even while the children are learning English.
We have to make sure that parents are connected to communities and that we understand their culture. And we have to do that by people that have knowledge of their culture.
These roles are led by school translators, such as Miss Maria.
Cuando tú no hablas inglés, ya estás hablando inglés, right? I like to celebrate their language skills. It might not make sense to a lot of folks, but it does to that child. I want that child to have the ability to stand up, maybe say 3 words in English, but celebrate those 3 words. I'm really proud of Jocelyn. Jocelyn did not speak English when she came in the kindergarten, and really we had 2 months only towards the end, and listen to her now.
What's your favorite thing about living here?
My friends and my teacher.
The work doesn't stop with the students. The program continues by connecting with families, which can be as simple as one conversation.
In most communities, the school is the heart of the community. And what I want to make sure, and our staff wants to make sure, is that parents have that connection.
As someone who came to the United States alone from Cuba when she was 5, Maria is able to bond with military families in a unique way.
I like to empower the parents who the father or mother is a soldier and the other one stays home and doesn't speak the language. I like to empower them. I like to be there and let them know everything that's in school for them. And we celebrate their culture. And if you don't know their culture, have a conversation. And as they're telling you their story, you are reliving their culture, and they feel a sense of warmth because they feel like they're back there again.
The program also hosts an annual multicultural fair and events throughout the school year. In total, 63% of Indian River's ENL students speak Spanish, which spans across many cultures and countries that are celebrated every day.
We respect them, we honor them, we love them.
Teach them that it's special, that, you know, they might feel different, but they came from, you know, a special place. They're from a different culture. We're all from somewhere different, and we just celebrate that every day.
It's amazing at what people bring to us, so we have to make sure that beyond what we're giving them, we have to allow them to bring what they have to our school.
Those children, they are doing so well, and it brings me so much happiness to see such success in a school with these families. I would have done anything as a child. I would have been so grateful if I had just a little bit of what the ENL teachers here do.